And so how did I create this? And how did I create all of this 116 different blog posts in the course of a month? Well, I'm going to show you. So first things first. First, you want to research keywords. Figure out what are the topics that you want on your blog. So a great way to do this is to go into ChatGPT. This is what I did. And just say, give me a list of keywords related to health, let's say. And you may want to niche down, focus on a particular aspect of health. Maybe you want to focus on parenting or resilience or something more specific, maybe life coaching. And this kind of will give you a general overview of the different, maybe subtopics you want to focus on. So let's say healthy eating. So then maybe you just pick this and you say, all right, give me a list of keywords related to healthy eating. And so then you can get more and more specific until you find the niche that's a good fit or something that you like. And so then once you have these keywords, you can ask ChatGPT to turn these into titles and meta descriptions and URLs that are SEO optimized. So basically, let's say we want to focus on this first batch here, general healthy eating. We want to write an article on each of these. And so I say, write an SEO optimized title and meta description for each of these keywords. And then I'm also going to ask it to put it in a table because that's just easier to export into my spreadsheet. Put this into a table. And then I paste in the keywords and hopefully it does what I've asked it to do. And so you'll want to read through these and make sure that you like the titles that it created. Sometimes it will create things that are a little bit bland or not really on the topics that you want. And so you may need to go through and say, actually edit the titles to be a little more like this or a little less like that. Make them a little bit longer or a little bit shorter. For example, SEO optimized titles that in Google search need to be 60 characters. And just looking at these are probably longer than 60 characters. And the meta descriptions, I believe, need to be 150 characters. These are probably a little bit long for that also. So if I were doing this for a new website, I would go through and I would say, actually make the titles. Oh, it looks like the meta descriptions are right. Anyway, I would make the titles, the meta descriptions the correct length. I would make them in the format I like, etc., etc. And then you're also going to need, so you want the URL for each of these web pages to be the keyword so that Google understands this is what your content is about and people interested in this topic will go there. And so the URL basically is just the keyword with a dash in the middle. So what we're going to want to do is paste back in those keywords and say, or maybe we'll just add it to the table. Now add it's called a slug. After the URL, the little healthy-eating, that's the slug. So we're going to say now add slugs for each of these keywords to the table. And be sure to just use the keyword with no additional words. Sometimes it adds stuff and you don't want it to add anything. And I know I had typos in there, and it can handle the typos, so that's cool. All right, this is exactly what we want. So now we have a keyword, a slug, a title, and a meta description, and that is the primary information we need. And so then what I've done is I've got a keyword, a slug, name is the title, and a description. And then I've also added in my spreadsheet, author, which will always be me for this project. And then in this project, I've also asked ChatGPT to classify from like 6 different categories, which category the topic is in. Let's just skip that for now. And then you're gonna want to basically, okay, so in order to create an image with AI, you're going to want to go back into ChatGPT and say, okay, now for each keyword, write, it's called an alt tag, and the alt tag describes what will be in the image for each of these. So for each keyword, write an alt tag for an image and include this in the table. It's going to do that. And so while that's writing, we're going to make our images in Gemini because it's free and it's pretty darn good. So, okay, so healthy eating. The alt tag is healthy eating assortment of fresh fruits, vegetables, and whole foods. That's not great. We might need to make these alt tags better, but let's just try it. And so you copy that, paste it into Gemini, say create an image based on the following alt tag, and then paste in the alt tag for each keyword. Let's see what it makes. I'm happy with this image, and if you want a particular look and feel to your website, you may want to also include some color, like brand colors, in your alt tags. So for example, for my non-toxic body website, I've asked it to do minimalist, clean, mostly neutral tone images for all of my blog posts. That's why they all kind of look the same, which is a nice touch when creating a website. So let's say, if I ask Gemini to recreate the image in the same chat, it sometimes gets confused. So I'm just going to create a new chat and I'm going to say, create an image based on the following alt tag. And I'm going to say minimalist kitchen with a healthy eating assortment of fresh fruits, vegetables, and whole foods. So now let's see how the image is different. Yeah, so like this image would fit my website a little bit better. Or maybe, you know, I've chosen this minimalist look, but it is not very catchy, and it probably could be better in terms of keeping people's eyes on the page. Like things that are colorful and dynamic and creative could be better. So I'll let the inner designer in you shine through. Okay, so then we would download this, save it somewhere on our desktop, and then come back to it later. So the one thing that Webflow can't do is upload images within the spreadsheet. And so you're going to have to upload each image separately for each of your articles, but everything else can be done with the spreadsheet. So we've got our description, we've got our alt tag. Basically, if you copy and paste this entire table from ChatGPT, that's what it looks like when it's in a spreadsheet. Got this here. And then I've gone through for this website and gotten the affiliate link to each of the products that I'm promoting in each of these articles. That's something you could do if you are trying to make more money from your website. Maybe you're writing an article on healthy eating and you want to refer to a particular book or a particular product. Healthy eating is really broad, so I'm not exactly sure what you would refer to. Nevertheless, so I've got all of those there in the spreadsheet, and those will all upload automatically. Okay, so we've got this, and so I've created all of these. You can also paste your content into the spreadsheet as long as you use HTML. So I'm trying that for another project, which I'll talk about later, where I'm actually uploading each of the article's content, main structure, the 2,000 words of article content into the spreadsheet. And that does work. But I'm using all free tools. And for the purposes of this project, I'm using Claude, which I have the free version of, and that will not work at the moment. So basically, got this. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to snag 2 of these because I'm just going to upload 2 of them for you, show you how it works. And so these 2, let's say you've got your spreadsheet and you want to just do 2 articles at a time. I usually do 5 at a time because I get really antsy and bored, and so I can do like 20 minutes of uploading at a time, and then I get bored. So then we will download this as a CSV and then go into Webflow. And so here's all the 116 articles I've already done. And the really cool thing about Webflow is that it has this CMS, which basically means you don't have to write and upload each article individually. You can put them all into a CSV file or a spreadsheet and then just upload them all at one time. And in the age of AI, since you're making a bunch of articles all at the same time, this is a really effective tool. And then all I have to do is just click import, and then I upload the file that I just downloaded, the CSV file. And then I've already set this up so that the CMS knows exactly what goes in what place. And again, that's like more of a Webflow thing. It's a little bit more intense, but if you have a template or a Webflow tutorial, that can help you get there. And so then you've got all of this. I say, yes, that looks good. Import 2 blog posts. I don't need a backup, it's fine. And so these blog posts end up here at the top. And they're not published yet. They want to make sure you got everything you need. And so everything I need is in here. The only thing that I don't have in my spreadsheet is the image and then the article content. And I've saved those on my computer elsewhere. I have my articles saved on my Google Drive. And then I'm going to search again for non-toxic hair color. But it doesn't come up because it's too far down. Non-toxic hair color, here it is. And so then I just need to, the meta description and the title and everything already in there, I just need to paste the content. And then, so I actually have this content set up in separate sections so that I can have ads between each section. And that's worked really well on my other sites, having the ads spread out. And all the ads are automatically set up. And I will show you what it looks like when we're done. Okay, so once these are all uploaded, you just click on publish. I did that. And then you click on this little eye here to see what it looks like on the web page. There you go. You got your image. This is the intro, and then all of the text from your CMS gets pasted into this template. And I already have all the ads set up. These are all linked to actual paying products. So if people click on these ads and buy these products, I'll get a small kickback. I have my little AI disclosure because this was all written with AI. And then it refers to other blog posts. Okay, and so they're published, but then I just want to publish the whole website so that everything goes live. And now let's just take a quick look. So there's the page that we were on. Let's just make sure that the blog, these new ones that I just added are now at the front of the blog. So that's that. So I just uploaded 2 articles. It took us, I don't know, 20 minutes. We didn't create the content, but I will show you real quick how I created this content. And so for this content, it took me a while to write these prompts, but basically I wrote a prompt for exactly what I wanted each of these articles to include. So I include particular sections, I include the word length, I include the headers, I include what I want in each of the sections. This is all one prompt. And then the perspective I want it to write from, the way I want it to write the meta description, although I didn't end up using those meta descriptions, how I want it to write the paragraphs, whether I want it to use bullets. And so then every time I write a new article, I basically just paste in the title into this red area that I've highlighted for myself. This one is Best Non-Toxic Laundry Detergent. And then I copy and paste this entire prompt into Claude. Or you could use ChatGPT, or you could use Gemini, or you can use whatever you want. For the purposes of this project, I'm using Claude. I think it's a really good writer, but it depends on what you want the content to sound like. So here's an example of what would happen. Claude thinks for a little bit, and then it'll spit out the entire article. And I've read through a couple of these. They're good enough. I review them briefly just to make sure that what they're talking about makes sense, but the writing quality is pretty good. And it takes just a couple of minutes to write that. And then I save those as files that I later upload, just so that I can kind of chunk it and make a little assembly line. And then I tend to do all the images at once, all the articles at once, and then put them all into this file and then and then upload them all at once. So basically I can do, 5 of these a week in less than an hour, which back in the old days, I could do 5 a week, period. And that was my entire week. So that's it for now. I'm going to go work on building some other projects. So hopefully this tutorial was helpful in helping you understand how to build a Webflow website using a variety of AI tools. And hopefully it helps you build something cool that makes the world a better place. Okay, see you next time.